G'day guys, we're back here again with our trusty Lenovo 500E Gen 2 Chromebook, which features an Intel Celeron N4120 quad-core CPU and only 4GB of soldered LPDDR4 RAM. I have made several videos on this Chromebook in the past, but just as a refresher, absolutely nothing is upgradable on this. Everything is soldered. You can usually find older Chromebooks with damaged screens for fairly cheap online, although they are generally end of life, so you probably couldn't use them with the stock Chrome OS. That's why today I thought we would try turning this little Chromebook into a dedicated headless server. To do that, we'll be installing Proxmox from a cheap USB flash drive. A lot of these budget Chromebooks don't actually have a dedicated Ethernet port, which is something you do definitely need if turning this into a dedicated headless server. Thankfully, my little Chromebook is fully compatible with my USB-C hub, which does have a built-in Ethernet port. Although I'm not sure if this little USB-C dock will actually work with Proxmox. On the off chance that it doesn't work, we'll be using my cheap USB Ethernet adapter with a cheap passive USB-A to USB-C adapter. In previous videos, we have already flashed the custom core boot firmware, so we can boot pretty much any UEFI compatible OS. And we did also install Windows Tiny 10 and turn this into a dedicated Moonlight game streaming server. We'll obviously be wiping Windows Tiny 10 to install Proxmox, but if you wanted to do this yourself, you will have to flash the custom core boot firmware. I will link my previous video where we already flashed it, and I'll also put a direct link to Coolstar's guide. Let's get into it. I've inserted my Proxmox installer USB into the only USB-A port, so we'll power it on, and we'll enter the UEFI setup. Just pressing escape when it turns on, takes us to the boot menu. It does say it's a 300E Chromebook, but I'm pretty sure that's just because it uses the same custom firmware. We'll go down to boot menu, and there it is there, the very last one, USB Lexa flash drive. Just press enter. There we go. We'll go the graphical install. Now I haven't plugged in my USB-C dock with the Ethernet cable, and it looks like it is already searching for Ethernet devices, so I may have missed that. I'll plug in my USB-C dock now, connect my Ethernet cable, and we'll reboot our Chromebook once more, just so it is detected. Actually, I've just plugged in the USB-C dock with my Ethernet cable, and I do have a link light, so I may just continue with the setup. Go I agree. So the internal eMMC is quite small, 32GB. Again, it is solid, not upgradable, and that is the only device we can use. I'm not too sure how well setup's going to go on such a small device, but we'll continue anyway. We'll go next. Set the country to Australia. The built-in trackpad does work, which is nice. Go Sydney and US English. Go next. Give it a password. It does need a valid email, so I'll just change it to mail@example.com. Again, hopefully that's not anyone's real email. Go next. Now this is where I think we're going to have issues. We don't want our wireless, and yeah, our USB-C dock wasn't detected. So it looks like we do have to boot the Chromebook with our USB-C dock connected. That's a shame. We'll reset and come back when we're at this screen. It did find our USB-C dock this time, so that's good. So we're back on the network config page, and thankfully it did detect it. So that's good. We want our static IP. I'll set it to 56 just to test. We'll leave everything else as default. We'll go next. And that looks good. We will install. Hopefully the 32GB eMMC isn't going to cause us any headaches. And straight away it did fail. It did not like our eMMC. Might do a bit of research and we'll come back. So I looked into it, and it seems Proxmox is hard-coded not to install to eMMC devices, but it looks like we can edit the install script and patch that out. So we'll try that now. We'll reboot once more, go back into the grub page, got to press escape again, boot menu, and Lexa. Now we want to go the second option, install Proxmox VE terminal UI. Now we're at this little terminal GUI, go I agree, press escape, maybe control C. There we go. Go yes. Hopefully, no, it's rebooting. We just want to get to a terminal. We'll go back into the grub menu and we'll go advanced options. So advanced options, and we'll go graphical, but debug mode. Okay, good. We'll do exit. And that should get us out of it. Back to a terminal. No, it's rebooted again. Okay, don't type exit. Oh no, this is it. This is the terminal. Awesome. The guide I'm following is just a little blog for an older version. For Proxmox 8, it looks like, not 9. So that's why it's a little bit different. Okay, we're at the shell. Next, we have to navigate to a file called Block.pm. We'll do cd/user/share, cd perl 5, cd proxmox, cd sys, and there it is there, Block.pm. So we'll do sudo nano block.pm. No sudo, I guess we'll get rid of sudo. We are already root. Okay, so this is the file we have to edit. We'll press Control F to find, and we want to find unable to get device. There it is there. And all we have to do is add another entry for our eMMC. So just above the error, below return, we'll do enter, tab, curl brace, else if, $dev equals tilde, do enter, tab, return. So that should be it. I will put the 2 lines you have to add down in the description, but I'll also link the little blog that I'm following. Just make sure I haven't made any typos. That looks good, so we'll save it, Control O, enter, and Control X to exit out of Nano. We'll type exit, and that should take us back to the installer, hopefully. And we're back in the installer, awesome. They've obviously disabled installing it to an eMMC, just because it can wear out really, really quickly. And if the eMMC on a Chromebook fails, it is pretty much a brick. I guess you could run Linux from a flash drive, but it's not really that good. So if you do decide to do this, do it at your own risk. We'll go down to I agree, set our country once more, put a password in, change the email. I still want to use 56. I've already checked, it is a free IP. Go next. And we'll click install, and hopefully it works. It did work. So that's the first hurdle, but we'll see if it actually installs correctly. I have tried installing Proxmox to a 16 gig device before, and it was just too small. It did install, but there was lots of issues. So hopefully 32 gig is enough. It looks like it's finished. It did say it was successful, so that's good. It's gonna automatically reboot. Don't yank out the flash drive just yet. So it's taken us back to a shell. It says we can either type exit or press Control D to reboot. So we'll do Control D, remove our boot drive. There it is there, our flash drive. And hopefully it boots. Awesome, grub menu. We won't press anything, it'll automatically select the default option. We do have our link light on our USB-C dock, so that's good. All right, it's finished. Now, since this is a laptop or a Chromebook, the screen won't turn off by itself. And if you close the lid, the screen also won't turn off. So we do have to fix that. We also want to make sure it does not go to sleep. We'll move over to our Windows laptop and we'll remotely access our Proxmox server using this IP here. It's currently running on battery. I will plug it into charge as well. We're over on our Windows 11 laptop now, and I've just opened up Chrome and gone to the Proxmox host IP. For me, I set it to 192.168.156, and it should be port 8006 by default. Click Advanced and Continue or Proceed. Perfect. So now we'll log in, root, and the password that we set, we're in. Click OK. So the first thing we'll do is disable enterprise repositories. We'll go PVE, repositories, click on the top enterprise one, click disable, click on the bottom enterprise one, and disable, click add, click OK, select the repository, and we'll go no subscription, click add, and we'll click reload, cool, go down to updates on the left, loading, give it a second, we'll click refresh, click OK. Once that's finished, we'll close off the little window, and we'll do upgrade. This should update all of our packages, hopefully, assuming we have enough space, yes, and we'll just let that finish. Everything updated successfully, so that's good. It does say there was a kernel update, so we should reboot, but before we do that, I just want to take a look at our disk space. We'll close off the shell, go down to disks, LVN. So that's fine, thin. So we've got 11 gig free on the thin. I think that might just be enough. So now everything's updated. I think we should fix our laptop screen issue. The fact that it's always on, burning in an image. We don't want that. It's also using more power. So make sure our PV is selected and we'll click shell. And we want to edit the logind.config file. So nano/etc/systemd login.conf. Press enter. We want to scroll down until we find handle lid switch. So there's power key, reboot key, suspend key. There it is, lid switch. Uncomment that, change it to ignore. We'll also do the same for external power. I guess we'll do the same for docked, just in case. Cool. So these 3 lines should let us close the laptop screen without powering off the system. Keep scrolling down a little bit. We want to find idle action. There it is there. Uncomment that. Also uncomment the time and change that to 0. That should be it in this file. Press Ctrl O to save and Ctrl X to quit. We want to restart the systemd login service. So systemctl restart systemd-login d. Cool. So that should fix the laptop screen closing issue and also the sleep issue. But the screen will still stay on. We don't want that. So we have to edit the grub config. So nano etc default grub. Go down to grub command line Linux default. After quiet, press space. Want to type in console blank equals 60. That's 60 seconds. We'll save it once more. Control O, quit out. Type in update grub. Should be in update dash grub, sorry. And that should be it. We'll restart our Chromebook. We just click reboot at the top here. Click yes. The web interface will drop out as the Chromebook reboots, but hopefully once it comes back, the screen will turn off by itself. It's finished rebooting and it's back at the Proxmox login screen. So we'll give it exactly 60 seconds and hopefully it does work. And the screen did turn off. Awesome. So I'll shut the lid and we will reconnect on our Windows PC. It should auto reconnect if I click summary. Yep, it did. So Proxmox is pretty lightweight. You can see by default it's idling at around, well, under 1%, but it does spike up to around 1.752%, so that is negligible. We are using 1.4 gig of RAM out of our 4 gig total, so it doesn't leave too much free, and it looks like it has partitioned our little 32 gig eMMC correctly. As I mentioned earlier, when I tried installing this to a 16 gig drive, it just wrecked that completely. It did install successfully, but I had so many issues and errors. Nothing was partitioned correctly. It was just a huge mess. Just to make sure everything's working correctly, I think we will try and download a Linux ISO and spin up a quick VM. So on the left-hand side, we want to expand PVE. We'll click on local PVE, click on ISO images, and there's none currently. So I'll open up a new Chrome tab and find a Linux ISO we can download. I think I'll try SlideTaz 4.0. There it is there, the bottom one, slidetaz-4.0.iso. It's around 35 meg. Right click on it, copy link address, go back to our Proxmox, go download from URL, and we'll paste it. Give it a name, let's call it slidetaz4.iso. We could query the URL actually, we'll do that. There we go. It auto-filled in the file name. And we'll click download. It shouldn't take too long since it is a fairly small ISO. And done. It took 14 seconds apparently. We'll close off the little window. There's our ISO there. Go back to PVE on the left. We'll right click on PVE, go create VM. We'll call it test, go over to OS, ISO image, SlideTaz, that's the one we just downloaded. Leave all that as default, go across the system. We'll leave that as default, go to disks. I don't want a disk, we'll just run it live, so we'll delete that. CPU, leave that as default. Memory, we'll give it 2 gigs. SlideTaz does not need much RAM at all. Actually, I might even lower that to 1024, which is 1 gig of RAM. Across the network, we might change it to Realtek. I think that should work out of the box on SlideTaz. Go to confirm and finish. There it is there on the left, 100. Go to console and start now. Hopefully it works. There we go. Go live. It's a little bit small, so we'll go full screen. With the little arrow on the left-hand side and go full screen. We want USA, which should be at the bottom. Oh, there it is there. Go OK. USA should be at the very bottom on this window though. Yep. Now it didn't load to the desktop, and I think I know why. I did have this issue before. We'll hard power off the system. Let's go hard stop. Go start now. We'll go full screen. Do SlideTaz live. Whoops. SlideTaz live. I remember having the same issue on a very old thin client, and I'll show the workaround. It's specifically for this old version of SlideTaz. So basically, when you get to the language selection screen, just press escape on the keyboard. Whoops. In the VM. So click in the VM and press escape. Press escape again for keyboard. And then on this screen, press enter. And there's our desktop environment. This has been fixed in the newer SlideTaz releases. I just personally have a soft spot for SlideTaz 4. We'll close off the little sidebar. So our SlideTaz VM works. We'll open up terminal and we'll do ping Google. And we do have internet connection. So our little Chromebook is successfully running Proxmox from the internal eMMC. We'll close out of this and we'll just hard shut down again. You can shut down normally by going up to here, power, and choosing shutdown system. And if we click OK, it should power off the VM as well. And it did. Exit out of full screen. So now we know Proxmox does work on an old Chromebook. What could this be used for? It has a tiny internal eMMC, which is soldered, not upgradable. There's no spare drive slots inside, and it does also have a measly soldered 4 gig of RAM. You could use this as a low-powered NAS, but you would have to use external hard drives over USB, which wouldn't be too bad on a newer Chromebook with USB 3 or even USB 4. Could still be handy. You could set up a Jellyfin server. That uses almost no RAM and hard drive space. It doesn't even use that much CPU power as long as you're not transcoding, so that would run really well on an old Chromebook. Again, you would have to use external drives to store your media, but I personally do that anyway on my mini PC, and I've had no issues. You could also run game servers like Minecraft or one of the older open source RuneScape projects, although with such low RAM, you would be limited with how many concurrent users you could actually have. Obviously, not all Chromebooks are the same. You can get ones with way more RAM, 8 and 16 gig. You can also get ones with only 2 gig of soldered RAM. Some of them even have upgradable hard drives inside, which would make this whole process way easier. You'll just take out the stock 128 or so gig hard drive and pop in like a 2 terabyte SATA SSD. So that could work as well. I wouldn't recommend going out and buying a brand new Chromebook to try this on, but if you can find a cheap one secondhand, maybe one with a cracked screen since you don't really need the screen, this might be something worth trying. It just breathes a little bit more life into what would essentially be e-waste. Also, as mentioned, it's not recommended installing Proxmox to the internal eMMC since it can wear it out. That is apparently why it was disabled by default, but you should be able to install it to an external SSD over USB. I think that'll do it for today. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.